What is Christmas? We know it's Emmanuel. Emmanuel. It's the birthday of Jesus. We're here to celebrate the birthday of the Son of God, fulfilled prophecy as the Messiah, and therefore it's a time of great celebration for all. It's a birthday party. That's important to know. It's that moment in time when God, way up in infinity, came down and identified with those of us who are finite. It was that moment in time when the transcendent one became immanent and dwelt among us. Totally God, totally man. That is Christmas. And what's it all about? It's about gifts, isn't it? It's about what someone would give and somewhat one would receive. Christmas is God's gift to you and God's gift to me. But when someone gives you a gift, you have to receive it. For God so loved the world that he gave. What did he give? He gave his only son, divinity wrapped up in human flesh, and he gave it to you and he gave it to me, and we have to receive it. And when we receive it, we receive the Lord himself. That first Christmas was rather insignificant in a lot of ways. Way over there in Bethlehem, the backside of nowhere. Born in a manger, placed in a manger, born in a stall, in a barn. Can you imagine? God himself. But around Bethlehem, there were all kind of supernatural events. Matthew, Luke tells us in the early chapters, angels began popping out everywhere. Read it. There's Zacchaeus, there's an angel. There's Joseph, there's Mary, there's the wise men, there's the shepherd. Angels, 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 all around the birth of Jesus, the supernatural. And then you can read only one verse in the New Testament, and it covers almost all that we understand, that we believe as exactly who Jesus was when he walked on this earth. Galatians chapter 4, verse number 4. But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his son, listen, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoption as his sons and daughters. That is a miracle of time, a miracle in which at the fullness of time, just the right time, all the prophecies have been given. A day would come when Messiah would come and God-man would enter time, and he entered in a great setting of humility, a great moment of condescension. Can you imagine? If there were a pile of ants over here, and somehow I wanted to communicate with an ant, those ants, how would I do it? The only way I know is I'd have to become an ant, right? And maybe if I could become an ant and associate with those ants, that I would be able to communicate and understand what they're about and what their purpose is. But I can tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The distance that you and I as human beings would have to travel, if somehow we could become an ant, that distance is nothing compared to the distance that God Almighty traveled all the way down to become a human being like you and me, a greater distance. God came to give us a gift. And in the fullness of time, and that is a miracle of chronology. All the prophecy that had been written in the Old Testament for years and years was fulfilled. Over 100 different prophecies about Jesus. And you can read them one by one by one and see it was all realized in that moment of time there in the birth of Jesus. You say, well, it was just a coincidence. Take 8 prophecies concerning the coming of Messiah. Just 8. There's over 100 that Jesus fits perfectly, but take 8. And what are the odds that one man at any point in time would fulfill all those prophecies? A mathematician says it's 1 to 10 to the 17th power. That's a 1 with 17 zeros after it. That's the odds that one person at one time would fulfill only 8 of the prophecies, let alone over 100 different prophecies. So we see it's a miracle in time. It's a miracle in that moment of the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem. Also, if you listen to that verse carefully, it's a miracle involving what? Gynecology. Born of a woman. Prophecy said it would be a virgin. We looked at that to the genealogies we looked at recently in Matthew and in Luke. Born of a virgin. It is a miracle involving genealogy. And it's a miracle involving this wonderful moment in history. Also, it's a miracle of sociology. Yeah, what is sociology? The science of relationship. Did you hear that little phrase? Born under the law, in the provision of government. It's a miracle in sociology. It's also a miracle in soteriology. You may not be familiar with that word. It means salvation. And the phrase there in Galatians says, he came to redeem us, to claim us back for himself, because we get lost in this world. We get lost in ourselves. So it's a miracle there of soteriology. He redeems us and takes us back to him. And finally, it's a theological miracle. And you see the bottom line of the theology there? We become adopted into the family of God himself. And that is salvation, and that is when we are safe in the Lord Jesus Christ. So around the birth, there are all kinds of miracles, because Jesus gave us God in human flesh, God and man, and we have to receive that gift. Now, what kind of gifts are we looking for this Christmas for those that we love? We're looking for a gift that expresses the personality of the giver, right? And meets the needs of the one who receives it. If I gave Lisa a set of golf clubs, I can tell you it wouldn't meet her needs. It may express my personality, but it wouldn't meet her needs. If she gave me a silk scarf for Christmas, you know, it's nice, but I'm not a scarf kind of guy. It would express her, but it wouldn't meet my needs. See, the perfect gift expresses the personality of the giver and meets the needs of the one who receives it. That was the gift of Jesus Christ. That's what God gave to us. It expressed his personality. Somebody, I wonder what God would like. I wonder what God would do. Look at Jesus. There it is. It's all wrapped up in human flesh. All the way in the beginning, through his life, his teaching, his death, his crucifixion, his resurrection, his promise of coming again, bring down the curtain of time. It's all wrapped up there for you and for me. The gift of Christmas expresses God. What would God have me to do? The principles are there as clear as anybody can understand. Somebody, well, a lot of the Bible I don't understand. You know, that's not my problem. My problem is the part of the Bible I do understand. Thou shalt not kill. Anybody have a problem understanding that? Would you lift your hand? Thou shalt not commit adultery. Anybody have a problem understanding that? You see, the Bible is clear and plain and gives us principles as how we are to live the life that he has called us to live. It expresses the personality of God. Also, it meets the needs that you and I have. What are those needs that we have? We need forgiveness. We need cleansing. We need understanding. We need healing. We need an interpretation of life that we can live and flow and have the light of God in our lives. That's what we all need. C.S. Lewis said, a fish never feels uncomfortable in water. Everybody gets that, doesn't it? But haven't you and I so many times felt uncomfortable in life? You know, things aren't going right. I don't understand this. And the reason is, so many times we don't have all the answers, but Christ comes in our life and he meets that need. He comes in and cleanses you and cleanses me. I've been praying a lot the last few days. And prayer is a dangerous thing. I've been praying that a lot of people would receive this Christmas who's sort of wandering around, maybe, perhaps, and nailed down in their life the new life that Christ offers. I doubt many adults know what this is. This thing, if I can pronounce it, is the number one gift. It is a squishmallow. How many have ever seen one or heard of this? Would you lift your hand? You're way ahead of me. I looked up to find what's the number one gift that people will receive this Christmas. Last Christmas, this was it. And they predict this Christmas, it'll be it again. And I said, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Until you place your head on it, until you feel it, the number one gift. Let me tell you, the number one gift available for us today in this world is that Jesus Christ, for God so loved the world that he gave. Just receive that gift. It's a simple act of faith. And let Christ come into your life and light up your life and change everything in a life. I prayed a lot of people just kind of wandering around, hoping maybe, would somehow this Christmas Eve say, I want this to be time that I experience that new birth. You know, every Christmas we experience the birth of Jesus Christ. Did you know that if this Christmas, 2022, that someone here would say, I don't understand it all, but I want Jesus Christ to come to my life and light up my life. And I want the light of Christ to come to burn away all the trash and to give me meaning and significance in my life. If you did that this Christmas, next Christmas, 2023, you'd say, you know, the birthday of Jesus is also my birthday. It's when I was born again and I received a brand new life from Jesus Christ. A few years back, a grandmother stopped me. She may be here in this service. And she said, I want to tell you about going Christmas shopping with my grandson. We'll call him Tommy. And said, Tommy took me out, and this grandmother said, we had a terrific time. You know, I would say, what do you want to give your mom? What do you want to give your dad? And we talked about his sisters. And then he said, what do you want to give his friend? That grandmother said, I had the time of my life shopping with Tommy. Until finally I asked him, Tommy, what do you want for Christmas? And she said, he looked at me and says, Grandma, you don't understand. This is Jesus' birthday. And the question is, what should I give to Jesus this Christmas? And she said, well, Tommy, what is it? He said, he only wants one thing, me. That's all he wants, folks. He just wants you. He wants me to give ourselves to him. And he takes anybody here and he comes into your life and he makes you and me brand new and the light of Christ. You know, birthdays, you have candles, don't you? We have candles here. And this is a candle that we'll see that is a representative of the light of Christ that can come into any life. When we humble ourselves and say, Lord, I want to be born again. Christ, he gives us a brand new life. We don't get better. We receive Jesus as Messiah. We become brand new. What an offer. And that's what can happen to a lot of people here today. In a reverent time, I'm going to light this candle. And when I light this candle, you're going to see a miracle take place in a little bit. I light the candle, and I come and light the candle of a pastor. No one lights their own candle. I'll light the light of a pastor, and then he lights other lights that are down in front of us of pastors. And then I want you to listen carefully. All of us have in our hand a candle that is unlighted, and the invitation is clear as it can be. This could be the time in your life when boldly you say, you know, I want a new life. I want forgiveness, and Jesus Christ has come into the world and offered me a new life. I want to ask Christ to come in my life and light up my life. If that's you, The top balcony, make your way down those steps, you can see. Middle balcony, make your way down. Downstairs, you can come. In the choir, the orchestra, we have an overflow group, you can come. Just come forward and bring your unlighted candle and say, I want to take my light, the light of my life, and I want to give it to Christ and let him light me from the inside out. I want that new life. I believe. A couple, a family, you're already a Christian. You say, I want to come to be a part of this church family. So no one moves except those who are coming, saying, I bring my unlighted candle and touch it and ask for the light of Christ to come into my life. Ask for the light of this church family to come. What a beautiful time to come in the family as he leads. You stand and come right.